everyone, this is Rachel. Thanks for clicking on my video. And I came in today with a little bit of celebrity tea. Now, the first one up is going to be that damn Kirk Frost. So, y'all, I was reading here recently that Kirk went to court about a day or two ago, and he was granted a little bit more time to prepare for this paternity case against Jasmine. The judge gave him a little bit more time. So what they're saying is Kurt is going to go back to court on July 26th, and he will face the judge over possible child abandonment charges. Now, if the judge finds probable cause, then Kurt will be forced to take a DNA test on the spot. And if it's found that he is the father of Jasmine's child, Cannon, he will be placed on probation for the next 18 years along with child support. Y'all, I don't know why Kurt is stretching this out this long. To me, the manly thing to do was, first of all, you've already admitted that you slept with her. So let's get that out the way. And the fact is that the girl has a baby, and you are in the running as the potential father. So won't you just do the manly thing and go ahead and take the DNA test? It would calm your wife down. It would clear the air if you're not the father. And if you are the father, then you can set up child support arrangements and get on with your life. Try to repair your relationship with your wife. But because Kurt is dragging this out, all the parties involved are going through a little bit of hell. So Rashida, she is being, embarrassed publicly. Everyone's calling her stupid for hanging on to a man that, stepped out on her with the stripper and had sex without a condom and possibly got the girl pregnant. On Kurt, it's making him look like a cheating bastard. And Jasmine, it's making her look like a home wrecking hoe. Now, the only thing I can say about this is a lot of people are very, 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 very angry at Jasmine. Because Jasmine knew that this was a married man and she went ahead and messed around with him. But equally on the same side, a lot of people are upset with Kurt. Now, I think that Kurt carries more of the blame because he is the one that was married. He is the one that has destroyed the family that he created with Rashida by stepping out with this young girl that's a stripper. So I don't know, y'all. The fact that Kurt keeps pushing off and pushing off and putting off just simply taking this DNA test is actually making him look more guilty. So if he thought that, it was making him look any other way, he's stupid. He's stupid. He's more stupid than what I could ever imagine. Because I honestly believe that if Kurt hadn't drugged that girl through the ringer publicly, and by that I mean Jasmine, I believe that she was young enough and naive enough that had he done right by her, she probably would have kept this private, just between him and her, as private as they could. I think she would have allowed him to quietly go behind the scenes, set up some type of child support arrangement, and maybe melted into the background for a little while. Now, eventually everything done in the dark would have come to the light. But I think that by Kirk getting on television and blasting her as a scammer and, everything that he said about her, I think that's made her say, well, you know what? You want to fight dirty? Then come on, let's play. And she started leaking text and all of that. But honestly, I'm serious. I think this girl would have stayed in the background for a little bit because she actually, in her text, was telling him that she wanted to go on about her business, that the relationship wasn't going to work because he was married. He was the one that was like begging her not to break up with him and, telling her that he loved her and all of that stuff. So he was leading her on. And then when he got on this show this season and, acted like he didn't know her and, that she was crazy, that there was no possible way that he could be the father. After she had, had all these dealings with him, she was like, wait a minute. You mean this ninja is now on television talking shit about me after all these texts he's been sending me, coming up to the hospital, making sure my car is fixed, buying me a baby shower dress and, you know, helping me financially. Now he's going to act like he doesn't know me. I believe when Kirk did that, he dug his own grave, y'all. So I can't wait to see what happens on the 26th because that judge is going to find probable cause for Kirk to go ahead and take that DNA test. So on the 26th, we should know something. You know, we should know whether he was forced at least to take the test because I don't know if they get the results back that day, when it's done by the judge, or if done by the judge, they still have a certain amount of time that they have to wait for the results to come back. But either way, the 26th of July is Judgment Day for Kirk Frost. Let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think that had Kirk shut his mouth on television, that girl would have held off on exposing him, maybe even for a few years, and Kirk could have staved this off for a little while? But by opening up his mouth, he opened up a can of worms. Now, also, like I said, everything that's done in the dark eventually would come to the light, so Kurt would not have been able to hide that baby forever. Let me know what y'all think, and on to the next story. This next story up, y'all, is about a letter that was written to Doug Christie from Jackie's daughter, Jakari Christie. Now, before I read the letter, let me back up and set the stage for anyone who isn't aware of the situation with Jackie's daughter. So, Jackie has another daughter, a daughter that she didn't raise. This daughter was raised by Jackie's mother. And this daughter came on the first season of Basketball Wives, and Jackie and her and Jackie's other daughter had a sit down. And in that sit down that they did with a therapist, we learned that Jackie kind of made a difference in the kids. She felt like this daughter was darker, was fatter, and she really didn't involve this daughter in the home life that she had created with Doug. This daughter was left to be raised by a grandmother, and over the years since she's been an adult, she's been speaking out about how she was the forgotten child. And on that first season of Basketball Wives, her other daughter, Chantel, talked even about how Jackie would make this other daughter, the darker one, run on a treadmill and make Chantel, kind of time her. Jackie was pretty embarrassed about the darker daughter's looks and how that had driven a wedge between the sisters for a time and all of that. So when I saw that Jakari, the darker daughter, had written a letter to Doug, I was curious as to what the letter said. And She says before, you know, she wrote the letter, she had been thinking about addressing the situation with Doug for a while, since a lot of questions were out there about if Doug knew how Takari was being treated, why didn't he step up and do something? Well, we must remember Doug is not her father. This daughter has a different father than Jackie's other daughter. So I'm going to read the girl's letter and then I'm going to just talk about it. So she says, for the first few years I did spend living in your home as a child, you welcomed me more than my flesh and blood. Even with the restricted interactions and limited time frames imposed on us, I don't recall a time of you not trying to teach or preach something to us. Every conversation was of some type of intellect, and something new was always learned. Although I haven't spoken to you in years, I have never fought at you or felt you did wrong by me or my siblings. You are and always have been a stand-up man, and I believe your hands were just as tied as everyone else's. But at the same time, you were kept very distant from us. So how much you knew or understood, I don't know. While all of our lives are changing, I hope you know I love you and will always consider you family no matter what the future holds. Now, I thought that that letter from Jackie's daughter was telling on so many levels, because Jackie's daughter could have blasted Doug just the way that she's telling Jackie's truth. But for her not to do that, that says that when she did go into Doug's home, Doug was kind to her. Because Takari could have said, something like, well, because I was an outside child, he treated me differently. I blame him for my mom pretty much dropping me off at my grandmother's house and never looking back. It was because Doug didn't want to be bothered with another man's child. She didn't say any of that. She said that he welcomed her into his home more than her own flesh did. Now, the flesh that she's talking about is her mother. And I think that Doug should feel very good about the memories that Takari had of her time that she spent in his house. Now, I was also reading something else that Takari had written. Now, I don't know if this is an excerpt from her book that's going to come out, or this was just something that she had posted on Instagram. But in this little excerpt that I read, Takari talks about a time that she was excited to attend a birthday party that was going to be at Doug's house that was thrown for her sister Chantel. Now, Takari is 2 years older than Chantel. And she said that she was excited to get dressed up and go over to the big bright house that her mom lived in with Doug and Takari and all of that. So she says that she got over there and she walked in and the house was big and it was pretty and it was clean and it was bright. And this is her description of it. And she said before the party had gotten started that Chantel had taken her up to her bedroom. And she said that when Chantel opened the door, her mouth dropped to the floor, because she said that the bedroom was decorated in all different shades of pink, and it was the prettiest bedroom that she had ever seen. She said that it was everything that a little girl would ever dream of having in her room. And she said that when she stood there, she thought about the home that she lived in with her grandmother, how it was just an okay home that was kind of dreary. And she talked about them having roaches and it just being not the type of home that Chantel was being raised in. And she said even though she was happy for her sister, it made her feel even more as the outside child. So after I read that, I was first of all saying that this girl's story could be made into a movie. But Jackie would be so mad because a lot of what she's saying is what this girl has internalized over the years. Now, I know when I read, Instagram posts from her, and there are people commenting on her posts, and they're telling her to move along, let it go. Why is she blasting her family's business across Instagram and social media? And I don't feel like that. I feel like this girl was pushed off into the background for so many years. She was the forgotten child, the child that a lot of people didn't even know that Jackie had. And over the years, living with her grandmother, and the grandmother not even being given like adequate money to take care of Takari. If Jackie was going to have her mother raise her daughter, why didn't Jackie put the mother up in a nice house in a nice neighborhood? That's a question. So this child spent years comparing her life to the life that her mother led, and not only her mother, but her half sister. And her life came up lacking. So when people say she needs to pretty much shut her mouth about the past, I don't think this is the past for her because it's continuing as she watches Basketball Wives. Jackie really didn't mention and really doesn't mention her other child. The only reason why it's coming up this season is because Evelyns made that contribution to that girl's GoFundMe when her child was burned at daycare. Now let's talk about that. Now everyone knows by now that Jackie Christie's grandson that she doesn't even claim was burned at daycare. And that her daughter, through running back and forth to hospitals and treatment centers and physical therapy for her child, she had used up all her personal sick time and FMLA time from her job, and she eventually lost her job. And she had to do a GoFundMe to pay for household bills and a means to get her child back and forth to the facility where her child was being treated, which I don't even think was in the city that she lived in. So she did this GoFundMe. Now, Jackie is making this big thing or this big to do about Evelyns donating to the GoFundMe. I think Evelyns gave the entire $3,500 that Jackie's daughter was asking for. Now, why I find that funny is because Matt Barnes, he also made a donation, and I believe he also gave the full amount. And I remember reading something that Takari had written after this flood of money started being put into her GoFundMe. And she said she never thought that she would get the response that she did. She never dreamed that so many people would want to donate to her. She said not only did Evelyns and Matt Barnes donate, but many other people in that basketball community took it upon themselves to donate something too. So why is Jackie so upset with Evelyns? I actually think, if I remember correctly, that Matt Barnes donated before Evelyns did. I believe that Evelyns may have gotten wind of it after, Matt Barnes had put his money in. And then I went back and read, the comments that Evelyns made, during that time. And If there was nothing shady said about Jackie in any of those posts, even if you tried to look at it from Jackie's point of view, you know, you couldn't come up with it being shady. The only reason why Jackie is in her feelings about it is because Evelyns on the show, because Evelyns a woman and a mother, and she knew Evelyn had donated that money, and now Evelyn was going to be on Basketball Wives with her, and that had to be addressed. That's why Jackie has a problem with it. Now, when Evelyn came on the show, Jackie already had a little something for Evelyn, you know, because she was in her feelings about whatever she did or didn't do with her child, and she thought that Evelyn might be judging her or had judged her, which any good mother would have judged her. But Evelyn didn't say anything to her. Jackie brought it up, you know? Jackie brought it up because she has guilt about what she didn't do for her daughter. Now, when I talk about that guilt, y'all, I don't know what mother, especially once the child becomes an adult, and you start moving to that age where you're looking in the rear view mirror of your life and you're realizing some of the mistakes that you made. Maybe they didn't have a relationship when Takari was growing up, but now that her and Takari can sit down as women and talk, and Jackie can tell her, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for anything that I did that wasn't beneficial to you when you were growing up, and really mean it. Not just say it, but really mean it. I think that would have gone a long way if her and her mother would have communicated. But see, the problem is, not only didn't Jackie have a relationship with the girl when she was growing up, she hasn't had a relationship with her since she was an adult. Sometimes if your adult child, sees that you're doing everything in your power to make amends for what you didn't do as a child, when they were a child, they may open up and you can mend that relationship. But the reason why Jackie is never going to mend it is because she's not having a relationship with her now. She preferred for Takari to stay in the background and never speak up. And she is so pissed at Takari for even what Jackie calls dragging her name through the mud. And she's also tried to paint Takari as kind of mentally unstable and that she has problems and all of that. You know what's weird about that? Say the girl does have some problems. You weren't there to raise her. You weren't there to nurture her. If she was a behavior problem as a teenager, why didn't you, with all of your money, send her to have therapy? Why did you step out of your child's life? So whatever she is, you didn't contribute to it because you weren't a mother to her. This whole situation with Jackie and her daughter, y'all, it's never going to be resolved until Jackie admits her wrong in it. This girl, her daughter, did not do anything wrong. She cannot help that she is the child that was born outside of the marriage that Jackie had with Doug Christie. Jackie chose this child's husband. I mean, this child's father. Child, why did I say husband? Jackie chose Takari's father. Jackie is the one that laid down and had sex with Takari's father. Takari had no say-so on who either of her parents were going to be. So when Jackie dropped this girl off at the grandmother's house and went on with her life with Doug and, having children by Doug's, and Doug and living the basketball wife life. And then this daughter eventually grew up. I guess this daughter has something to say. And y'all, I'm here for it. I believe that this is therapeutic for this daughter, Takari. I really do. I believe that it's like purging out all of, the feelings that she had about her mother. And when you read her daughter's post on Instagram and, you know, social media, her daughter is intelligent. Her daughter also expresses herself well and what she feels in those posts very well. And she lets you into a window of what she feels, when it relates to how she was treated. She doesn't blatantly blast her mother, but in telling her story, it makes Jackie look bad. She can't tell her story without making her mother look bad. So even if she never mentioned Jackie's name, you know that Jackie is her mother. And for the girl to tell her story, you keep saying, Jackie, you left this girl? You wasn't helping your mother, financially on a consistent basis, and they kind of struggled while you and Doug were living this, posh life. How could you do that? You can't help but feel that towards Jackie. So it's not necessarily the girl bashing her mother. She's just telling her story. Y'all, all I gotta say is Jackie ought to be ashamed of herself. And something my mother always says, she says stuff like, it's that kid that you never thought when they were growing up that would take care of you when you're older. Jackie might get old, and the favorite daughter, Chantel, is, has a full life, and Jackie's sick, and Chantel may not have time for her, and it's left up to Takari to step in and care for her mother. Because maybe Chantel is the spoiled one, the one who got everything. And then Jackie is dependent on Takari to take care of her. Because normally, y'all, when we get older, it's our children who care for us. Say Doug is gone and Jackie only has her children to depend on. What will she feel then when the shoe is on the other foot? I don't know the reasons that Jackie left Takari with her mother. I don't know if she was young and she didn't feel that she was able to give Takari the home life that Takari deserved. But when she got married to Doug and her life calmed down and she was with a man of substantial means and had provided a beautiful home for him and the children that she had with him, why didn't she go get Takari? That lets you know that Jackie was all about herself and Doug and their offspring, and not Takari. I actually feel sorry for this girl, y'all. I actually feel sorry. I don't know if it's the mother in me that wants to go find her and just give her a great big old mommy hug, from someone who calls themselves the mother. And I ain't mad at Evelyn for giving the money. I ain't even mad that she told Jackie to go take care of her goddamn daughter and her grandkid. I'm not mad at her. Because I know for Takari to sit and watch Jackie make over her sister Chantel's baby when that baby was born. I remember reading a post that she said, now this is Jackie's daughter Takari. She watched it and it was beautiful to see how her mother was trying her best to get there to be there for the birth of Takari's baby and how her mother fell in love with the baby. And Takari has 3 children. Jackie's darker daughter does. And she says she's 0 for 3, meaning that her mother wasn't there for any of her children's birth, and that her mother really doesn't even know her children. Y'all, that's some sad shit. That is some sad shit to know that you got a mother in this world and your mother ain't thinking about you. Not from anything that you did, but because she really never had time for you. I don't know, y'all. Tell me what you think about this story and the letter that Jackie's daughter wrote to Doug. Like I said, Doug should feel good because this daughter, Takari, doesn't blame him for anything. She actually says that he was kind to her. Y'all, Jackie, when Judgment Day comes, she's going to have to answer for this, y'all. Because she may not answer her daughter here on earth, but there is a higher power that she's going to stand before, and any wrong that she did to this child, she's going to have to answer for it. So let me know what y'all think. This is the end of the video. As always, I appreciate you for taking the time to watch the video, and I will see you in the next one. You guys have a great day now. Bye-bye.